Welcome to day 32 of your Devo to go. I hope you found an opportunity to really celebrate someone yesterday. I hope you made a hero out of someone yesterday. Today we're going to look at another aspect of our relationships. I've heard that if a friend tells you a sad story from their life and you cry before they do, they will be your best friend for life. This is called empathy. Usually in life, we want others to hear our stories, to listen to our jokes, to find us interesting. It takes a person with a heart that is truly loving and following after Christ to listen clearly and pursue others, to get them talking about themselves, to ask them questions about their lives, about their desires, about their hurts. Then, when you get them talking, really listen, not only what they're saying, but also to what their eyes, their actions, their body language is saying to you. Often when I'm around young people in the Honor Academy, I see individuals who just look sad, frustrated, tired, etc. I often stop and just say, "Are you okay?" This is a pretty non-threatening question, but when you ask it, actively listen to the answer and be ready to empathize with them. Empathy means to feel what they're feeling, to put yourself in their situation. People don't usually want sympathy. They don't want you to think they're some pathetic, lost little dog. But people appreciate empathy, where you actually try to put yourself in their situation and feel what they're feeling. Jesus felt empathy for Lazarus' sisters when he found out that Lazarus had died. This is the shortest verse in the Bible, and it sums up empathy when it says, Jesus wept. It's found in John 11:35. Jesus already knew he was going to raise Lazarus from the dead, but his heart still broke for the people who were mourning Lazarus. Does your heart really break over the pain that others around you are experiencing? That person at school or in your youth group or neighborhood that you don't really like because they irritate you or they seem weird, or maybe you don't understand them very well. Have you ever really considered what their life might be like? Have you thought about what that person's life is like when they get out of bed in the morning, what their home life is like, what their day must be like, who do they eat their lunch with, what they think about when they're going to sleep, what they must think about themselves, what other people probably say about them? I mean, think about that person. Try to really put yourself into their situation. Have you ever tried to look at life as if you were them? When you do this, pray for them and ask God to let you see the way He sees them, and you will start to find your heart filled with empathy for that person. You'll start to really care for people in a way that is life-challenging and changing for yourself. Press pause and again, get focused on what we're going to cover here today. Ask God to whisper into your heart as you go through this devotional today. Ask Him to challenge you and maybe even break your heart for someone who needs empathy. Let's go to the book of Matthew, chapter 26, starting in verse 36. Then Jesus brought them to an olive grove called Gethsemane, and He said, "Sit here while I go on ahead and pray." He took Peter and Zebedee's two sons, James and John, and began to be filled with anguish and deep distress. He told them, "My soul is crushed with grief to the point of death. Stay here and watch with me." He went on a little farther and fell face down on the ground, praying, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup of suffering be taken away from me. Yes, I want your will, not mine." Then he returned to his disciples and found them asleep. He said to Peter, "Couldn't you stay awake and watch with me even 1 hour? Keep alert and pray, otherwise temptation will overpower you. For though the spirit is willing enough, the body is weak." Again he left them and prayed, "My Father, if this cup cannot be taken away until I drink it, your will be done." He returned to them again and found them sleeping, for they just couldn't keep their eyes open. So he went back to pray a third time, saying the same things again. Then he came to his disciples and said, "Still sleeping? Still resting? Look, the time has come. I, the Son of Man, am betrayed into the hands of sinners. Up, let's get going. See, my betrayer is here." It's an interesting passage of Scripture. How do you think Jesus felt when He found His friends sleeping while His own heart was being crushed? How do you think He felt the second time when He'd already woken them up once, and then He came back and they were sleeping again? If you had been there with Jesus, do you think you would have gone to sleep? Why do you think you would have gone to sleep? Or why do you think you would have stayed awake? Who do you go to when you need to pour out your heart? Why do you go to that person? How can you tell when a friend needs to talk, even if they don't say anything or just say, "I'm fine"? What are some specific ways in which you can be awake when a friend needs you? Do you quote-unquote sleep sometimes even during these Devos instead of listening to what Jesus is trying to teach you? Your friends need you, and even more, those who have no friends really need you. Hey, one last thing. Today, really listen as your friends and others are sharing about their lives. They may not say some things out loud, but ask God to give you eyes to see what they are really feeling, ears to hear what they're really saying, and a heart that's filled with empathy as you spend time with your friends today.